In this video, I wanted to talk you through why net worth explodes after the first £100,000 and why that first 100k is actually the hardest to get. Like you, I've been worried about not being able to afford the things that I really want in life at a later stage. Mark Tilbury explains how he too used to feel the exact same way about money, and yet with that in mind, he still says that we should not be focusing on getting our first £1,000,000 or $1,000,000. What we actually should be focusing on is getting to that first £100,000. You may have seen Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's right-hand man, mention that the first 100k is a bitch, but you've got to do it. So why is that? Well, there's a couple of reasons behind why the first £100,000 is the hardest. Reason number one is the lack of compound interest. Think of your money as a snowball rolling down the hill. If you've got a snooker-sized snowball rolling down the hill, it's going to take a long while for that money to grow into something quite big. Now, you're still going to be seeing the same percentage increases, but if you had £100 in an investment account that's getting you 10% a year, you're only really going to gain £10 on that, which almost doesn't seem worthwhile. However, if you had £100,000 in your account and it's still growing that exact same 10%, you're going to end up with £10,000 after that first year. So you can really see a big difference that with a lack of compound interest, it's going to take a lot more years for your money to grow. So we can see on a compound interest calculator, having £10,000 an initial investment, getting you 7% a year, which is what the S&P is average for most years, you're going to end up after the first year with around £722. So let's pretend you had this money in year one, £10,000, you completely forget about it. We're going to see how long it's going to take you to actually get to 100k. So after the first year, you're going to get £722 of interest, taking your total to just under 11,000. 2 years in, you've got about almost £1,500 of interest, taking your total about 11,500. 3 years, you're at 12.3k. 4 years now, 13.2. 5 years in, you're at 14.1, all the way to a whopping 10 years to double your money. So from £10,000 up to £20,000, it's going to take you 10 years to double that money, all the way to a staggering 33 years to get to your first £100,000, which for a lot of people is your entire working career. So you can quite clearly see that in the early days, compound interest is almost completely irrelevant and is not going to do you any favours in getting to that first £100,000. And then reason number two is that there is a lack of earning power at a younger age. The ONS stating that the average 22 to 29-year-old right now in the UK is earning around £30,000 a year. We can clearly see that that £30,000 after taxes and expenses is going to realistically leave you with £1,000 or less. And £1,000 or less per year is going to take you roughly 8 years to get to that magic £100,000 figure. So it's quite difficult to get to that first 100k. So we've seen how difficult it is to get to that first 100k, but why does your net worth then explode after this? The reason for that is because compound interest starts to get very, very interesting. So let's look at a quick graph here just to explain this in a little bit more detail. The chart that we've been looking through is going to be around saving £10,000 annually at a 7% interest rate. So we can see that it's going to take 7.84 years to get there, and then from 100k to 200k, it's only going to take a whopping 5.1 years. 5.1 years, so that's about 35% quicker. And going from 200k to 300k, that's going to take 3.7 years. 300k to 400k, just 3 years. And then from 400k to 500k, it's going to take 2.5 years. So think of it this way. The faster you can get to that first £100,000, the quicker you'll become a millionaire. Following this exact recipe, it's almost inevitable that you become wealthy. Sticking with £100,000 and investing £10,000 per year, you will become a millionaire within 23 years, compared to the almost 8 years it takes you to get to that first £100,000. So we've seen how net worth can explode after you've hit that first 100k, but how do we actually get to £100,000 net worth? So there's only really 3 ways that you can fast track yourself to 100k. The first of them is we need to go on the offense. This can be in the form of high yield savings accounts, investing your money wisely into the S&P or index funds, starting new businesses that are going to bring in more money every month for you, investing in property, or even doing freelance work. In my line of work, I see a lot of people that work in the contingent labour or freelance market, and these people are making a ridiculous amount of money compared to those that work a usual perm salary job. So freelance work or contract work or anything on the side of your day job can be massive boost to your amount of money that you're pulling in every single month, and can be a massive fast track to get to that first 100k. The second option is we can start to go on the defense. We can be cutting our expenses down massively, reduce the amount of times where we're going out, reduce the amount of times we're spending money frivolously, going shopping at the weekends, spending money on cars. We're not just buying things for the sake of buying things. You've got to remember here, to get to that first 100k, each £1 or each $1 that you spend on unnecessaries will be slowing down your progress to that first £100,000. And option number 3, we can maximize the efficiency that we have with our money. This means instead of just putting your money directly into an index fund, start to be a little bit more strategic and think long term, putting this money into a stocks and shares ISA. So you've got about £20,000 per year is the limit that you can put into an ISA. So max that money out if you have the spare cash to do so, and you will start to see big increases in terms of your overall portfolio value. And at the end, when you come to take that money out, any interest that you've been gaining on that, you're not going to have to pay additional tax on. This can also be in the form of using your pension wisely to get a tax shelter on the money that you are bringing in and investing. Rather than paying that high rate of tax now, you can pay more into your pension, shelter that money from tax, and then when you do come to take that money out of your pension, hopefully when you're in a lower tax bracket later down the line, it means you can start putting extra money in towards that big pot and getting to that first £100,000 faster. So there we have it. Putting all those processes in place will fast track you to get to that first £100,000, and then we can see after that first 100k how your net worth will explode. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next video.